je sais pas comment ça va se passer la semaine prochaine avec le retour de la course.
When there's uncertainty like this in the world, I mean, the tendency is for people to panic, and lots of people remember what happened with Russia and Ukraine and all the uncertainty, and obviously inflation has gone crazy since then. But at this point, to the UK and in Europe, there's not expected to be significant actual shortage of supply. It's more prices that are being impacted. So prices have gone very, very high because of potential disruption rather than there being an actual shortage. So at this point, people panic buying petrol is probably a little bit preemptive, but further down the line, it's going to be all about those prices and trying to make sure that energy bills don't go crazy like they did over the past few years. Unfortunately, high oil and gas prices do eventually filter down and impact end consumers, so they impact energy bills, both gas and electricity, but also petrol and diesel. And at this point, even though the conflict's been going on for several days, there's not a massive sign that this will have a huge impact on end consumer prices, but if it continues and prices remain high for a sustained period, it definitely will do. I mean, that's what we saw with Russia and Ukraine, and it has to happen over a longer period of time for those impacts to be felt. But eventually, obviously, gas is used for power, it's used for heating, petrol is used in cars and in other vehicles, and when those prices rise, unfortunately, the prices rise for consumers too.
For example, last few years, we can see we had several spikes higher. So between June here in 2023 and September of 2023, the oil price rose by close to 20%. But then we had another decline, which followed this ascent. And we had a similar rise from the end of 2023 all the way to the top here in April 2024. Again, a rise of around $15, which was then followed by another down leg. But what is interesting now is that, as you can see here, we are seeing a very sharp ascent of some $25, which is bigger than any of these previous ones that we've seen. What we're seeing is this conflict in the Middle East pushing oil prices higher because markets hate uncertainty. And obviously, with what's going on in the Middle East, there is a lot of uncertainty around the markets, and investors are worried, and also worried about being able to fill up their tanks in the future. And that's why the price of crude oil is rising very significantly at the moment.
So Wikipedia. Oh.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Well, I mean, I did a really good deal. I think it was before Ukraine invaded. 15% of the European Union's demand goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So if that is shut, then we have 15%, potentially 15% less oil that reaches us here. And globally, it's about 20%. So it is extremely important, not just for the European Union, but for countries like China, Asia in general, the United States. And obviously, if that oil can't be exported to us, then we need to look at our stockpiles. But not necessarily. Well, we're not really using them because if the stockpiles were to be depleted with regards to oil in the next few weeks, and no more production can leave that area in the Middle East, then we could definitely see higher oil prices because we're still needing the same amount of oil, but there is less supply out there. And that could then lead potentially to the Brent price, which is already up at around $80 per barrel, to rise to $100, even $120 that we have seen a few years ago.